For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lawrence, and I've known Henry for the last 18 years. Standing next to me is my fellow groomsman and my partner in crime, Jonathan, with whom we all went to high school and uni together, studying, unfortunately, the same law degree. A quick word of advice. Make sure you do drink up tonight, because it's not very often you'll get a freebie out of Henry. Also, make sure you get up on the dance floor later, because I'm sure there's nothing that would make Sharon happier tonight than to see everyone up on the dance floor enjoying themselves. Now, I think everyone will agree that the bridesmaids looked beautiful and did a brilliant job making sure Sharon went against her better judgment and showed up. Thank you. Speaking of beautiful, our bride looks simply stunning tonight. It is easy to see how Henry has come to be so captivated. If I may say so, Sharon, your beauty makes Henry look more handsome than he actually is. Of course, I'm just kidding. As Henry, you look pretty good yourself there. But I think Sharon's made a wonderful choice to be her husband tonight. As I started writing this speech, I was slightly apprehensive about coming up with the obligatory, embarrassing story about the groom. So if you know Henry at all, you'll be hard-pressed to think of anyone who could exceed his level of geekiness. Henry's never been drunk, as far as I know. Some of you in this room, or as far as I know, some of you in this room would know too well how my last mortifying attempt at trying to get him drunk turned out. He hasn't had any past girlfriends, or at least none that was serious. I hope I'm not going to get you into trouble there, Henry. And back in our uni days, if he wasn't playing computer games on the weekends, he would be doing the pre-readings for an assignment that was 4 months away. Talk about making you feel inadequate. I mean, if you found out that you were not quite up to date with all the required readings leading up to the exams, you would be met with a look of incredulity and pity at how pathetically unprepared you were, which is just what you need right before the exams. But more on a serious note, I've never met someone who actually enjoys studying as much as Henry. With degrees in law and software engineering and 2 master degrees and counting, he seems to have a natural proclivity for academic pursuits, and as a result, this meant that Henry's skills of attracting the opposite sex was somewhat lacking or underutilized, to put it mildly. So when Henry announced to me one day over lunch that he had met a girl called Sharon, and that he wasn't sure whether the types of exchanges he'd had with her were within the norms of dating, I wasn't exactly imbued with unbridled optimism at that point, that he had what it took to win a woman's heart. Well, you've clearly proven me wrong, Henry, as you've managed not only to win Sharon's heart, but to exchange vows of lifelong commitment together, as you have done today. Now, before I pass on to Jonathan, Henry, I've got to say you've made a crucial mistake in not appointing one best man, because we've now got 2 embarrassing stories, one each. So now, with that, I'll pass it over to Jonathan.
Hello, everyone. As Lawrence has mentioned, my name is Jonathan, and I became friends with Henry during our time in high school at St. Aloysius. I remember the first day Henry was introduced to us all as a new student from Hong Kong. Our class were excited to meet a new classmate, and I remember quickly getting along with Henry. He immediately came across as definitely a smart, intelligent, and very studious person. We did similar subjects at school, and I fondly remember the days in classes with Henry. We bonded over common interests and often talked about tennis, gaming, and even a television show called Seinfeld. I have a lot to owe to Henry. He is a person you can call a true friend. Having known him for the past 2 decades, he's someone who you can rely on, and I know if something comes up, I can rely on him. He's always someone who's honest and genuine about what he says, and that's what I truly value about him. Henry and I studied law at Sydney University, and I can say without a doubt, he helped me tremendously during that time. He was the smart one. He was someone I always went to for tips for exams, or when I had a burning legal question, and when I wasn't sure of something. He always had meticulous law notes, and when I was asked to read over whenever I read over his notes, he was always willing to help me and in preparation for exams. He's always been someone conservative and a very cautious person. I remember the time when we were still at university and we had a group trip to Port Macquarie. We all went go-karting, and everyone in the group was crazily driving fast. But here I saw Henry going along at around 40 kilometers an hour, just around the track. Yeah, even the girls and the kids were going past him. He was just like... But also, I do remember going there, and we left about an hour before the whole group. And by the time we got there, the whole group were already there. So we were quite slow going there. But now on to when Henry met Sharon. One day, I received a message from Henry, and he said, his normal hello. He said, "Hello, Teng, how are things?" And I replied with my normal hello and told him how things were. And then he said, "I'm good, I'm starting to date at the moment." And immediately I was intrigued. I was saying, who was this person? And he told me who she was, that they lived close together, that they worked nearby, and that it was great because they could get to know each other quickly and easily. I was excited for him, and it looked great for him. As it developed, I received another message from Henry, and he asked me, "Hey, would you like to meet up? And I'll introduce you to Sharon." And I thought, wow, this is amazing. They're getting serious. He even mentioned that Sharon was a Seinfeld fan. So I said, oh, wow, that's great. So, when I met them a few weeks later, I could immediately tell they were right for each other. They were very reserved. They both had very similar personalities, and they just seemed right together. So, and it developed into where we are here today, their wedding day. So now, as part of a groomsman speech, it's common to give marriage advice. So being married myself, my advice to you is that all your decisions should be made together now. As a married couple, you'll make many decisions together, and each one should be made with the other in mind. Look out for Sharon as you have looked out for your friends, and grow your love together. You are very well matched and lucky to have found each other. As you may well tell, I'm nearing the end of my speech. So before I make a toast, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate the happy couple. Anyone who has been lucky enough to spend their time in their company know what a great pair they really are. Everyone here today is having a great time, and it's mainly because of the planning they've done. Even as far back as February this year, I remember Henry and Sharon researching and arranging for the day today. They've done an incredible job to make this day such a special day. So from myself and everyone here, we thank you for the wonderful memories. Now it gives me great pleasure to give a toast to the newly wedded couple. Remember, so I raise my glass and say, remember Sharon and Henry. Love is not about how much you say I love you. It's about what you do to prove it. May you continue to show your love for each other, and every day, a toast to you from Lawrence and I on your wedding day. Cheers.
Congratulations, Henry and Sharon. Sharon, you look so beautiful, and Henry, you look beautiful too. Hi everyone, I'm Joyce, one of Sharon's high school friends. Someone once told me a wedding speech should be like a miniskirt, short enough to be interesting, long enough to cover all the essentials. So mine will be short and sweet, just like Sharon. I've known Sharon since I was in year 7, and yeah, it's been like 22 23 years. Sharon, I just want to say that I'm honoured and thankful to be able to share this day with you. I remember being so excited for you, and when you told us you started dating a guy named Henry, and then you got engaged, the first thought that popped up into my mind was, 終於人哋想同 Sharon 結婚啦. Finally, someone wants to marry Sharon. I mean, congratulations. But in all honesty, one of the great qualities about Sharon is that if you don't know her, she's not afraid to try new things. And everything I've seen Sharon put her mind to, she's been able to do it very well. From being a high achiever to during our days at Cheltenham Girls, to improving her public speaking skills with Toastmasters. Sharon is someone who pushes and improves herself with challenges. And this is also how I know she'll make a good wife. Several months back, we were talking in the car, and she said how she wanted to learn how to cook better and be the best wife she could be for Henry. So Sharon, I'm confident that you'll be able to do this no problem. And Henry, I feel like I haven't gotten to know you as much as I would have liked. I remember when I first met you, it was around Christmas time last year at Ingrid's house. My first impression of you was that you were a good and proper wholesome Chinese boy, so much so you didn't know what the word wholesome meant. You were very Siman, and you could speak Cantonese, and you were from the North Shore. You were perfect for Sharon. So I'm looking forward to getting to know you better in the years to come. And Sharon, I just wanted to give you a little bit of marriage advice as a married person. In my experience, marriage is a wonderful thing. I highly recommend it. But it is hard work, and you have to keep working at it. And what I found is the more you put in, the more you get out. It's worth investing in. So my hope is that your marriage will be a happy and loving one, and that you'll be like two like-minded people who will always be there for each other and on the same side. So finally, Sharon, I am so happy for you that you found someone to love and someone who loves you in return. And Henry, out of all the guys Sharon's dated, you were the least weird. So congratulations. Wish you all the best for the future.
And now that we've covered the short, I'm going to cover the essentials. Hi everyone, I'm Ingrid. Congratulations, Sharon and Henry. Sharon, I feel very honoured and thankful to be able to share this special journey with you. When I first met you in Year 9 at Cheltenham Girls, my first impressions were, she's nice, confident, smart and friendly. Little did I know that this friendship would last for more than 20 years. During this time, I've known Sharon to be a perfectionist. She always strives for the best and nothing but the best, whether it be school exams, uni, work, love, or even a speaking contest such as Toastmasters. In 2015, Sharon entered and won a Toastmasters humorous speech contest, aptly titled Happily Ever After, her search in finding true love. Whilst Walt Disney may have put the idea and thought of happily ever after into our minds, we most certainly embellish the idea of it. We talk about and dream about finding our ideal guy. Tall, tick, handsome and muscly, caring and intelligent. Okay. As the years passed, we tried new things, had our hearts broken, travelled the world, but through it all, our dream to search for true love never faded. I've always known Sharon as being the brave one, someone that has no fear to try new things and live in the present. Whether it be doing Duke of Edinburgh, meditation retreats, baking, sailing, through it all, she's never afraid to go after what she wants, and she's never afraid to say what she thinks. I remember one day when Sharon came over to my place, she declared that she wants to change her name to Chorus, which of course we all started singing in a chorus. We've shared many conversations, none more popular than consoling each other on relationships that didn't work out and what we could do to find Mr. Right. As it turns out, Mr. Right has been here all along. It seemed like such a whirlwind romance, but when we first heard about Henry, we were also very excited and happy for Sharon. You could see the joy and happiness and romance that Henry brought to her life. Clearly, we had to meet this mystery guy. I'm not sure which is harder, meeting the parents or meeting very curious and protective girlfriends. In any case, Henry, you passed the test. Not only were we impressed with your loving nature towards Sharon, the fact that you didn't eat anyone else's dessert except for Sharon's scored very highly amongst one of us. But you also got the tick of approval from both of our husbands. Quite a mean feat, if you ask me. Sharon, you are loving, caring, and one of a kind. Your random one-liners can at times catch us off guard, but make us laugh. We love you for who you are and hope that you never change. We are so pleased that you have found your Prince Charming and hope that all those Walt Disney dreams come true. To Sharon and Henry, for the next chapter in your lives together, we wish you a happily ever after. Sharon and Henry.
Henry's happy, I'm happy. And I am more important, that is, and I am happy, my husband Joseph's very happy. That's why I'm standing here tonight instead of Joseph delivering a mother of groom speech, though it is not quite the Chinese tradition. When I asked to say a few words after Joseph, all I wanted was to add a mother's touch on her son's wedding day to make it complete. I'm glad I asked. Joseph's open support for me on this very special day will remind me forever what a wonderful life we have together. Our happy family started 30 years ago, but it was not until 5 years into our marriage that we had Henry. Imagine how happy we were, and we just wanted to spend all our time with Henry. While I happily took on a bigger share of the parenting responsibilities, Henry grew closer to his father nonetheless. Then one day, Henry started to talk. His very first word was "ba," not "ma," as I long awaited. Not only that, 3 months later, Henry started to call me "ba." Still starts with the letter B and not M, as if I was the feminine version of his beloved father. I had to bear with this until Henry was 2 years old. Since this painful incident, I started my competition with Joseph for Henry's affection. And making Henry happy became my top priority. Henry was easy to please when he was little. He was curious and eager to learn. A book, a pack of color pencil, or a box of Lego would keep him occupied for hours. So I spent all my spare time buying books for us to read together and Legos to put together. To keep up, Joseph was busy drawing and playing with Henry, having fun with the books I bought and the toys I assembled. As Henry grew older and began school, he was not that easy to please. As expected, he was focused and self-driven in studying. And of course, he did well in exams and tests. Yet, he was not happy when he scored less than 90 percentile, even though he was top in class. To meet this arbitrary standard he set for himself, he always did more than required in preparing for tests and exams, and that's how he got the name 110. While I knew Henry would continue to drive himself successfully through high school and university, I also knew that certificates and honors were not tickets to happiness. Fortunately, Joseph was able to help Henry develop interest in playing various sports and traveling, adding color to otherwise rather dull life. After graduated from uni and working full-time, Henry was still chasing after certificates or other kind of recognition for his performance. In the past 10 years, at work, his technical abilities were endorsed, and for postgraduate studies, he accumulated numerous professional certificates and 2 master's degrees. Some of them KPMG has to pay for it. But as Henry moved up the career ladder, playing hardball all the time, probably under my influence, could be quite exhausting. Fortunately, Joseph was an excellent softball player, and he helped Henry develop soft skills. Also, thanks to Henry's bosses at KPMG, they kept drilling him in building work relationships. Pretty soon, Henry seemed to have mastered this relationship building skills and landed himself a relationship with Sharon. Well, knowing how Henry loved his certificates, I couldn't stop worrying if Henry knew what he was really after, a soulmate or just a marriage certificate. Lucky enough, before long, I could see that Henry changed. From refusing to download Sleeping Beauty for me to watch at home, to watching Beauty and the Beast in gold class with Sharon. From no exercising to working out at gym twice a week to impress Sharon, and from eager to take on a PhD to settling for good with an MBA to keep Sharon company. From no domestic chores to making breakfast for Sharon to enjoy. Last but not least, Henry was much happier than before. Then I know Henry has found his soulmate. Henry, you have always been a wonderful son to your father and me. In raising you, we have learned to appreciate our respective role and to cherish each other more and more over the years. You have blessed us with so many happy memories, and reciprocally, we had to do our best to give you a loving home. Today, thanks to Sharon, you have changed for the better and become the perfect son we have always longed for. As your parents, we could not be any prouder of who you have become and what you have accomplished. Yet, if I haven't told you before, I'm telling you now. These are not as comforting to us as to see you find someone, not something, to love. Sharon and Henry, today you have promised each other to build your own happy family together, and knowing you as you are, you will stand by each other all the way. And guided by your true north, you will stay on course and live happily ever after. Congratulations, Henry and Sharon, my perfect son and his perfect wife.
Here we are. I still feel like it was just yesterday when I first met my wife. We were fast approaching an awkward silence when Sharon observed, "Your hands, they are quite exquisite. They are smooth, delicate, yet masculine." The scene was just like that Seinfeld episode when George became a hand model. And so it was our fondness of the show that brought us together. As we went on a second date to Glebe Foreshore Walk, we found out we have many more things in common. We're actually both quite nerdy. We both like the same kind of Chinese tea, and the same 90s Zhao Xingqi films. We both enjoy watching musicals and going to the opera. We saw Aladdin last year, not long after we first started dating, and then Carmen earlier this year, where Sharon got to show off her beautiful dress. We also prefer a lake view with greeneries rather than ocean and sand. Although Sharon likes to roll along the grass as well, whereas I just prefer to watch. We are also both half Shanghainese on our mother's side, which explains why we have such smooth skin. So when my mom and dad anxiously asked how my date went and how did Sharon look, I felt really proud, describing her as like the Hong Kong movie star Ju Yan. That sent shivers down my parents' spines, as they always found that I had questionable taste when it came to girls. But they completely agreed with me when I brought Sharon along to Father's Day lunch at the Star. And then came the daily nagging of, "Son, when are you popping the question?" And this one's my favorite. "So when are you moving out?" The moment came during our getaway to Wollongong and Barrow last Christmas. After a few days traveling along the south coast, walking through Illawarra treetop and having Thai tea at Dirty Jane's, we took an easy night on the couch of our room watching Bridget Jones's Diary, which was for me the first time not, in the words of Celine Dion, watching it all by myself. That was when I realized I have found the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. Sharon, you mean the world to me. You have been the wife I have been dreaming my whole life. A companion who is cute and elegant, funny and smart, kind and understanding. When you smile, my heart just glows. I want to make you happy for the rest of our lives. Being with you completes me. Having said that, I must also thank Amy and Ricky for letting me have your daughter's hand in marriage. And also, thank you, Mom and Dad, for your unconditional love in me my whole life and your belief in me even when I doubted myself. So, as a token of our gratitude, Sharon and I have a gift to our parents. It is a pair of rare Chinese purple clay teapots specially made for the wedding. On the body are carved the words 冰心在壺, which literally translates to a pure heart inside a jade teapot. Taken from a Tang Dynasty poem, it was the message the poet wanted his friend to bring back to his parents to reassure them of his unfaltering determination in staying true and pure to himself, his values, and upbringing. In a similar expression, as we are about to start a family of our own, Sharon and I want to thank you for grooming us for our journey ahead. Raising a child is just like nurturing these teapots. The more tea you brew with it, the more oil it absorbs, until one day they can turn water into tea. We feel that day has arrived, and we hope that we have, in your eyes, blossomed beyond your prayers. I would also like to thank my two groomsmen, Jonathan and Lawrence, for standing beside me. We have been friends since we were in year 9, studying together in Aloysius, the math and physics classes we had, and also all the parties we went to. And then also when we went to UCIT Law School together, the extended lunch breaks we had roaming around the city, testing some of the gray areas of legal principles firsthand. Thank you, Scott and Jeremy, for being our MC and celebrant. Scott and I joined KPMG around the same time in September 2010, and Jeremy about 6 months later. The reason why I chose them to be my comrades today is because we have shared a hotel room before where I got the bedroom and they got the lounge. Yeah. Jeremy was when he was stranded in Melbourne while I was on a work trip. And Scott, when we were trying to decide who gets a bedroom, where I won a best of 3 rounds of rock, paper, scissors. Having always been just book smart, relating to the opposite sex has always been more challenging to me than sitting an exam or facing a difficult client. So I feel very lucky to have 4 happily married friends passing back their wisdom over the past year on wedding and marriage to me. To Ingrid and Joyce, thank you for supporting my wife. I couldn't think of 2 better bridesmaids than a Taekwondo master fending off potential suitors and a designer to make sure that it's my wife that makes the dress and not the other way around. And Ashley and Michaela, our junior bridesmaid, thank you for your youthful presence and the touching reading during our ceremony. Thank you also to Sally, who has been helping Sharon plan her dream wedding since year 10, when she asked Sharon to be her model for her textile and design project. And finally, to our guests who came to celebrate this moment with us, thank you especially to those who had to travel to Sydney. From the Ma family side, thank you Auntie Emily from Vancouver, and Auntie Christina and Uncle Gordon from Hong Kong. On the Tam family side, thank you Joyce, Leslie, Vivian, and Ahau, who are also from Hong Kong. And to my bosses, Sam and Morris, and their family, thank you for coming. To also Brian, my high school mate, and Catherine, whom we've used to work together, thank you for coming as well. However, extra special thanks must go to the one who will be my companion in all our future travels, Sharon, my new wife. Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment, please join me in a toast to my stunning new bride.